What's going on, guys? Gabe here with ReviewDork, and today we're talking about the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. Now, we've had these consoles in the studio for the past 30 days, and I'm going to try to give you an objective and subjective position on both of these consoles, on whether you should buy them now, or you should wait, or if you should still sit on the websites and hope that something pops into stock. Okay, so first off, let's talk about the controllers. If you're an Xbox fanboy, well, you get more of the same. You do have a dedicated share button, which is something that I can appreciate about the controller. Now, Microsoft has taken the approach of evolutionary as opposed to revolutionary. And again, it's more of what you know, more of what you love. And even PC gamers have adopted the controller, even though most PC gamers will look at a controller and say, but why? We have keyboard and mouse. But for those who are making the jump from console gaming to PC gaming, well, this is the ideal controller. I will add that Steam just recently added support for the Sony DualSense controller. Now, this controller, it is revolutionary. What Sony has been able to do with this controller with its adaptive feedback, it's just nothing short of phenomenal. And it's actually my favorite controller of 2020. And I'm kind of disappointed in Microsoft for taking the safe, more utilitarian approach to the controller. Next gen, you would hope for next gen capabilities in the controller, which allows for more immersion in your gaming. So let's talk about the Xbox. Now, the design is industrial. I want to call it utilitarian, right? So form and function. Nothing's cramped in here. It's a big black, matte black box. On top, you have air ventilation. On the back side here, you have air ventilation. This is something more of an artistic design, something you would find at a Van Gogh exhibit. And you can see we got ventilation back here. We have ventilation in between the panels here, but you would have to be a little cautious not to put this in a cramped space. And actually, this console does not want to be in a cramped space. It actually wants to sit upright. I feel like this is the best position for your PS5 console. I just don't feel like it belongs sitting down. And I know I have it the wrong way. And we don't know and we don't care because upright it is. Now, I do like the aesthetics of this. Definitely a conversation starter. Just depends on your room setup, right? And so I have these consoles sitting side by side, and you know, eventually you just become blind to the design. Okay, so let's talk about games. Obviously, the most notable next-gen game is Spider-Man Miles Morales, and this game is absolutely awesome. And yeah, I found myself on the PS5 more so than the Xbox Series X, simply because of this game. Next up, Sony made sure to include another exclusive, Demon's Souls, and I'm not sure what's harder, trying to get through this game or trying to slide into the hot mama's DMs. With Microsoft, we get something like Watch Dogs Legion. Then we get something like Assassin's Creed. Now, these titles are available for both Xbox and PS5, and so, I don't know, I just feel like Microsoft is a little incomplete without their exclusives. And for those into PC gaming, well, I know. It's just, but why? So let's talk about market share for a second, because consoles dominate 30% of the market. PCs dominate 24% of the market, whereas mobile gaming dominates the rest of the market. And so mobile gaming is where everything is going, and Google, haha, I don't know. You know what? I think Google, what they did is like they called some 1-800 hotline. And it was like, can you tell us the future? And the guy was like, sure, in the future, mobile gaming, future, streaming from the cloud. Microsoft, through their own admission, sent out their development kits a little late. We're talking about summer. So developers really haven't had much time to optimize for the Xbox Series X or Xbox Series S. And that is why Digital Foundry found discrepancies of performance where the PlayStation 5 outperformed the Xbox Series X, despite the Xbox Series X having 12 teraflops of computational power, whereas the PlayStation has 10.28 teraflops of computational power. And we're not going to get into the specs here because, guys, check this out. Modern Warfare Cold War looks exactly the same on Xbox Series X as it does on a PS5. However, this controller makes all the difference in gaming. Now, if you are into competitive gaming, well, this is probably the controller, or maybe you get the Elite controller with even shorter triggers. But for the enthusiast, obviously you're going to use mouse and keyboard. The point I'm trying to make with this is that developers are in the business to make money, and they're going to develop games for the least common denominator. Now, the PC industry is just scattered. You know, it's kind of like the Android market, where phones have varying components and abilities. And so for PC gaming and enthusiasts, some may have a 1060, some may have a 3090 like I have. So you don't develop for that because you don't know the least common denominator in the PC market, but you do in the console market. And with that being said, I'm sort of kind of pissed off that Madden 21 did not get the next gen treatment, despite the fact that we have brand new graphics cards out on the market, even though you can't find them. Just like you can't find these consoles. Let's also talk about the elephant in the room, which is COVID. Now, COVID has pretty much slowed down 2020 to a crawl, and I'm sure a lot of you are just dying to get over 2020. You have developers who are not able to work in studios. You have logistics. You have, component makers. Everyone's short-staffed. You have basically the distributors, people bringing these things by the boatloads. And so we see a massive shortage in what shouldn't have been a shortage for these consoles, and this is what's driving the secondary market on eBay, forcing people to spend upwards of 2 to 3 times the MSRP. Okay, so in conclusion, guys, listen, if you can't get your hands on these consoles, you're really not missing out on anything. 2021 will be the year of the next gen console. Right now, I just feel like everything is playing catch up to normality, but the future is mobile gaming. So mobile gaming constitutes 40% of the market and a whole lot of money. And this is where Google Stadia is just like kicking ass and taking names. In fact, we found that Cyberpunk 2077, which is the game of the decade, it's actually a last gen game, guys. And even those with PS4 Pros and Xbox One X's, they cannot run this game without frame drops. And yes, it's supposed to play more smoothly on next gen consoles. However, if you guys just get a Google Chromecast, or maybe even use a mobile phone, we find that Stadia is able to run Cyberpunk 2077 damn near flawlessly. And so, yeah, streaming is the future. We're able to leverage the hardware of the cloud or Google's hardware. But if gaming is what you want to do, and you are part of that gaming demographic that controls 40% of the market, I think Stadia is the way to go. I feel like cloud gaming is the way to go. I think Microsoft understands that well with the Xbox Game Pass, but that is not enough to justify the purchase of an Xbox Series X. Final point, this is the last iteration of the hardware or the console generation. Cross-platform gaming is becoming the norm, the new norm, and individuals' ability to play pretty much any game, whether it be on an iPad or an Android tablet or even on a PC. Yeah, that is the future. So with that being said, should you buy any of these right now? I think I've said the answer is no. So Applejax has a PS5. Applejax, I want your opinion on the PS5.
My opinion on the PS5, it's coming from a little bias because I've had PlayStation for so long, but on the PS5, I love it. I have had no problems. The games run smoothly. There's no overheating, nothing. My opinion on the Xbox, I feel like it's too similar to the previous generation. It doesn't feel like it's new per se. But yeah, that's just my opinion.
Okay. And also, let's talk about the additional cost of owning these consoles, because you are going to need a monitor that is capable of 4K at 120 frames per second. That is an additional cost. The best monitors out there would be an LG C9 or an LG C10. And by the way, there is a secret function with the LG C10 which allows you to see the variable refresh rate of these consoles. And so, for those who have those televisions, you would simply tap the green button on your remote really fast, and you should be able to see the variable frame rate. It's going to show you how many frames you're pushing through the display. And that is pretty much it. Also, yeah, you're going to need an HDMI 2.1 cable. And there's some talks that the bandwidth that comes out of these systems is not true HDMI 2.1. So, take that with a grain of salt. However, we are using the cables that come with the system, and we're not having any issues at all. And that's pretty much it, guys. This is Gabe with ReviewDork. Stay tuned. We are giving away these consoles, so make sure you subscribe like, comment. Also, follow me on Instagram because that's where I will be announcing the winner. And yeah, I am signing out. You guys be safe out there, and on to the next video. Peace.